Hi guys, Edmond here. So in this tutorial, we're going to talk about a whole different concept. Actually, it's a concept you might be familiar with, and that's services, right? So if you've been following all of our subsequent tutorials, you would have seen that we've been creating services all along. But in this particular tutorial, we are going to talk about the reusability of services and how you can get some of the functionalities to your app for free. That is, getting services out there for free instead of creating a service for each and every app you need to create. And some of the services that people have created and are sharing would be found on the Service Hub. So these are a couple of services right now on the Service Hub. Others are in the pipeline, and some we are running through checks before we upload onto the Service Hub. So here you see I have Notify. It's a service that helps me send out emails, SMS, and push notifications. Web Console allows me to gain terminal access right within DevLess, DB Manager, blah blah. But the one we are going to be looking at today is the weather service. Now, let me explain services. And what happens is, let's say I'm building an app, right? The chances are I need about 3-4 services to finish it up. But sometimes you find some of these services already created and used by created by other people, and when these people feel like sharing, they would give it up for, and then it will be uploaded on the Service Hub. Then now everyone else can access it. So let me give you a typical scenario. One time I was building an app for a client, and what happened was, instead of building every component for my app, I was like, okay, I need 2 more developers on this project, right? So what happened was, one guy was focusing on the front end. He kept demanding, okay, I need to gain access to this, and it's like, sure. And then a service is created by one developer. So what happens is, as one developer works on, a developer can be working on one service, another developer on another, and then another developer on the other. And for the front end developer, because there's a sync in how the APIs are called, irrespective of who is creating the service or how the service is created, the endpoints end up the same. So the front-end developer can begin mocking, create a full-blown app, mock the APIs, and then have the app work. And then now he sends out the requirements like, hey, actually for this one to work, you need so, 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 and so. And then the developers can create the service, and immediately the app begins to work. Right, so we are going to work with some of the pre-built services instead of creating our own. And the service, like I said earlier, we are going to be working with is the weather service. So if you see a service here that you like and would like to use, you can just go ahead and install, or you can download. That gives you the raw SRV file, and then now you can head over to migration to import them whenever you need it. So sometimes you create your own services, and then so our weather service is installed, but sometimes you create your own service, and what you want to do is, after you are done creating your app, you want to export this service so you can install into another DevLess instance. That is fully possible within DevLess. Sometimes even to the extent you can export your entire app and then import into another DevLess instance, and everything would work seamlessly. So everything from rules to your tables are recreated except your data. You can't export a service containing data. That is not ideal. Okay, so here I have my weather service installed. So it's something I didn't have to create, but now it's available within my DevLess instance. So I could go ahead and then check for the docs or UI. And here you see there are a list of callable methods. These are methods I can call within my app, right? So I can get the humidity, get the Celsius temperature, Kelvin, Fahrenheit, get the temperature. I can get the wind speed and all of that. And right up here, I'm told it's explained to me how I can use this within my app, right? So what I can do is, let's go ahead and then use this within our app, see how this looks like. So to do this, I'm going to edit this earlier tutorial for this use case. So what we'll do is, we'll go ahead and then we'll be creating a service like let's just label it, let's say app. Let's just name it app. And the table really won't matter because we wouldn't be using any tables again. So app, and I'll be like get weather. I don't know. And then here, this time the type is going to be text, and then we'll be okay. Wait, so if I go ahead, I'm actually creating the field because I already know, I've already run through the documentation for the service. But let me run you through this real quick and then explain why I'm creating those input fields. So for example, if you pick get wind speed, it's asking, the parameters it's taking is the city name and then the country. Right, the city name and then the country. And for most of these methods, it picks the city name and then the country, and then gives you the respective weather forecast for that particular country or city. So what I wanted to do was to create two fields that takes the city and then your country. So let me add a placeholder here. Right, and then add another field for the country. So it's also text country placeholder. Please enter country name. Good. So let's say let's change this to get temperature, right? And then make this tell temperature. Am I getting this right? Temperature. Man, I suck at these things. It's temperature. Yeah, I think I got it right. So I'll go ahead and then save this. Refresh my form. Good, and I have this, and I should so what I want to do is once I provide the city name and the country name, I should get the temperature, right? So now that I have my weather service installed, I'll go ahead and then create my service with the name app. So real quick, app. Is this allowed? Yeah, great. So I have my service labeled app, and in here what I want to do is whenever I create request is being made to app, I want to say using service weather, which is the service we had earlier, this service weather here. Okay, so it's capital W. So it's using service weather, call method. So now we will call on the method. So let's see which method we can call out here. So I want to get the Celsius temperature. So this is the method I want to be calling to do that, and it gets the temperature in a city in a particular country. So it's the city name, the country, and then it returns the temperature. Okay, so I'll go ahead and then add this, and then now the last part of this would be with. So I'm going to using the service weather, I'm going to call on the method get Celsius temperature with params. So then now I can pass in my parameters. So the first parameter I want to pass in here, it's input city, and then my input country as is coming up coming from here. So the country and then the city that is passed in here, I'll pass it in as the parameter. And once this runs, I want to get the results. Right, results, and then store these results as let's say let's store this as the temperature, right? Temp, and then we will succeed with temperature. Great. Actually, even with this get results, I can choose to use store as, depending on which one makes it more readable. I just pick out the keyword, but they both do the same thing. But in this case, I think get results is a much better keyword to use. So it's using service weather, call method get temperature for with params, input city, input country, get results, and then succeed with that. Cool. So let's go ahead and then run this. So the city, let's try Accra, Ghana. Okay, seems something's gone here. Oh, okay. So it tried making an API request, but it's not going through. Okay, let me try a different network. I think I have issues with my internet. Okay, so now try this one more time. There I go. So now I have my temperature here. Great. So let's try another method, shall we? Sorry. Let's try another method here. Let's try and get the wind speed, shall we? Wind speed there. Save this, and this should give me perfect. So it's working, right? So sometimes the service you have, it's going to form part of your entire app, or the service in itself can be the app. In this case, the weather service, we actually leverage on the weather service to build a simple weather app, right? Now, another thing I would like to point out is there are some services that allow you to call on this method directly from your front end. You don't have to create a proxy service like we have the app service here. You can call it directly within your front end. So the only way you get to know whether a method can be called within your front end is once you check in the docs. If a method is labeled ACL, that's access control level private, that means you can't access it within your front end. But if it has an access level public, then you can call it from your front end. So let me show you how you can do this directly from your front end. Let's try the get Celsius method. So I'll just pop up my console, all right, and then head to console, and then now I can call on. So DevLess can be used in multiple ways. All along for most of our tutorials, we'll be using the HTML SDK. There are a whole bunch of SDKs actually. So we have the Ruby, the Python, Android, blah blah blah, and then we have the JavaScript SDK. In this case, we are going to be using the Java SDK to get the temperature instead of using the HTML SDK this time. So let's go ahead. So it's going to be sdk.call. And then I pass in the service name that is weather. And then the method, let's get temperature, right? And then my parameters, which I pass in as an array, will be the city name. So we're taking Accra, Ghana. And then I pass in my callback function. And then add sample console log here. Response. Okay, good. And now I get a response from my backend, and if I check my payload, it has the results here. So exactly. So this is actually an RPC call made directly to the method in here. So it's called directly right from my front end. So depending on the kind of service you are creating, most of the people create actually, it depends. So if it's a service that it doesn't matter if it can be called directly from the front end, you can do so. You just use the sdk.call, and then you can call this right from your front end. But in the case, like for example, if you have an API that sends out emails or does reimbursement, of course you don't want this being accessed directly from the SDKs or from your front end. So you'd want to mask that by creating a proxy service. Then you can apply a whole bunch of privacy policies. We've walked through the privacy policies in other tutorials. You can check that out. So that pretty much wraps up services. Also, we've started testing out the model where what happens is you can focus on your front end. You can have your front end as this, and then you put in a request for a service, and then we'll just create that service for you, and then you can directly call it into your front end. So it's going to be kind of like a backend as a service, but this time it's there's a twist to it. The twist is that you put in the request for the service, and within 24 hours you have your service, and you can plug it directly into your front end app. Plus, because this output is always standardized, you don't have to wait for the whole 24 hours to expire. You can mock it up, and then once it's ready, you just put it in. So yeah, hopefully this tutorial has been very helpful. I'll catch you later in the next tutorial. Thank you.